Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Is it possible for a cheater to change? I, 27F, found out my ex-fiancé, 28 meters, had been seeing call girls for about a year. I'm devastated, but he is literally broken after I found out. I am finding myself sympathetic to him. So this is almost an indescribable situation, because if you would have asked me last Sunday, I would have told you I had a perfect relationship. Monday night he was flying, he's a pilot in the Air Force, and had left his phone at my house. In the middle of the night it buzzed, and it was a call girl named Panama who had quit for a while and was reaching out to old clients because she needed money. I logged into his phone, we share passwords on almost everything, and at first told her she had a wrong number, but far too much of what she said was identifiable to him. I confronted him when he got home, and he didn't try to deny it at all. He confessed that he had seen two separate call girls for about a year, sometime at the same time. He claims he's a sex addict and has been in treatment for about a year. I knew he was in counseling, but I thought it was for the grief of a friend of his dying overseas. He promises me that he hasn't seen either of the girls for 18 months, and that's the only time he's ever cheated in the 6 years we've been together. Last week I was livid, like I couldn't stand to be around him lest I might do things I would regret. Last night in a moment of weakness I called him, because I just wanted to hear it from him one more time as to why he did it. Why did he need to call girls? I was so open to trying anything in bed, just why? And the truth is, I miss him so much, it's killing me, so a part of me just wanted to hear his voice and know that he's alive in this world. We ended up having the friendliest conversation over the course of about 4 hours since I found out. The reality is I still love him. I love everything about him, except the docking hookers part. He's broken over this, he's taken himself off the flying schedule, in the middle of his instructor upgrade, which may very well be a career staller, and he's doubled up his counseling sessions. He hasn't lied to me, he hasn't yelled at me, he hasn't blamed me for anything. I guess if there's a right way for a cheater to act, he's doing it. All of this is complicated because we are scheduled to be Mo/best man in our respective best friend's wedding this coming Saturday. Both of us agree that we don't want our drama to get in the way of their good days, so while we aren't going together, we are going to put on our happy faces for the 4 minutes we have to be around each other. But I'm worried I'm going to break when I see him, tall, glorious and handsome in his tux. I am so devastated I don't know what to do. I miss him more than I miss any other person, but I also hate him more than I hate any other person. What in the hell should I do? Can a cheater ever change? TL, doctor, found out my fiancé was sleeping with call girls for about a year. Last incident was about 18 months ago, and while I'm devastated, he's a broken person and I find myself missing him so much it's killing me. What should I do here? He was broken after you found out. If you hadn't discovered it, then let that sink in. Liathelian, every man you will ever meet has secrets. You now have a decision to make if you have the courage to face this man's secret with him on a level few relationships successfully navigate. You can choose to face this now with him, or later with someone else. Will it make your life better to leave him and search for the fantasy of Mr. Perfect? This assumes that every monogamous relationship will experience infidelity at some point. That's not true, and someone doesn't have to accept the disrespect and selfishness exhibited by a cheater. There's a difference between being entitled to, and expecting, individual secrets and a gross breach in trust. Don't label the person based on an addiction. He's not a cheater. Cheating, by definition, is acting dishonestly or unfairly, which is what happened here. His addiction doesn't negate his actions. He claims to be a sex addict after she found out, and I imagine if she thought he was going to counseling about something else, it was because he told her that. So he could be lying about that being a sex addict. Is not like she can go ask his therapist if he's there because of sex addiction or because of grieving, right? He could be a lying cheater using his ongoing grieving therapy as a cover-up. Or he could be telling the truth and actually be a sex addict who was too ashamed to admit he is on therapy because of that and chose to tell her he had problems grieving with a friend's death instead of coming out clean from the start. Having a secret and repeatedly cheating on your partner for years is not the same thing. The majority of people don't babe horrible secrets lying around. Telling Op to tolerate him because everyone else is just as bad is absurd. Women do not need to tolerate disrespectful men just because so many men are disrespectful. There are plenty out there who are not. No one is suggesting tolerating the behavior. Throwing your partner away because they have faults is convenient for those looking for an excuse to exit. The man has admitted to an addiction, and has been seeing a therapist for 18 months. During that time he hasn't fallen off the wagon, which is uncommonly good for an addict. If his past disqualifies him from relationship with the Op, then he would never be able to meet her expectation of perfection and is better off learning that now. This isn't a fault. This is repeatedly demonstrating they have zero regard or respect for their partner. Why would Op believe anything he's saying now, when all she has is proof of him repeatedly lying? Not to mention she could report this to his superiors if he's in the military, get a shit storm rained on him, so he has further reason to lie about everything. You don't know what it is. Neither does Op, who is reacting out of feeling betrayed. Don't assume someone who posted this private matter all over social media is operating from pure honest motives. What does it say about Op that she's taken this completely inappropriate action against the man she supposedly cares deeply for? What does it say about him that he completely disrespected and intentionally hurt the woman he supposedly cares deeply for? You haven't got a clue what you're talking about. I just don't see how breaking up with someone who cheated on you and repeatedly exposed you to potential STDs with no regard for your health or feelings is inappropriate. Are women just supposed to have zero standards and let men walk all over them? At what point do you think it's okay to have some self-respect and walk away from someone who treats you poorly? I had a cousin in a similar situation. She made up with her boyfriend, and the 2 days before the wedding broke it off. He was so hurt he couldn't be in the wedding and they had to find another person who fit the tux, be the best man. He just couldn't look at her knowing he had lost her. Yikes, can you still trust him after that? How terrible for you to have to always wonder what he's up to when he's on business or something. Do you really want to deal with it? They are always sad after, but mostly because they got caught. It's undoubtedly the worst, and most difficult situation ever. Your life was set, you fell in love, and now this. You will in time get over the anger and decide with more clarity. This is not something unusual for men. On one hand, he didn't start relationships, it was strictly sexual, but then why didn't he confess to you and seek your passion? Men are typically more immature and primitive than women. If you can come to terms about openness and honesty for the future, then there might be something worth saving. You can also consider the fact that he sought treatment. He will someday be a lonely old man if he keeps this up. Maybe you can return the feeling by appearing at the wedding with another man so he could experience what you felt in a more dignified way and staged. Good luck, feeling sadness for you. Don't throw 6 years away just yet, sounds like he has redeemable qualities. He left his phone, you had the password, and he didn't deny, although it's after he's been caught. Typical men will deny, and he didn't. This could bring you closer through communication. He doesn't want to lose you and will agree to your terms. It was paid for sex, there were no feelings, he always returned to you, which doesn't make it right, just less hurtful. Until his sexual urges subside with age, Then if it's every day, not like there's no closeness and pleasure in it for you, and if you become addicted, nothing wrong with this. My suspicion is that he missed variety in his life, so be cautious while trying to reconcile. No. Leave him. I heard about your post on Fox News TBH, why they shared your story, haha, and I was so proud of how you decided to get some sweet revenge on him at the wedding. Girl. Don't go back to him. For the love of God. He will not change. Also, it disturbs me that he kept this a secret from you for so long. That is so screwed up. He's probably cheated more than you realize. Don't fall for it, please. I understand you've been together for a long time and love him, but he disrespected you in a way that cannot be forgotten. You'll always wonder if he's lying or keeping secrets from you, and trust me, that stress isn't worth it. He wasn't thinking about you when he slept with those prostitutes. He's thinking about himself even now. He doesn't want to be alone. Let him go. Wait, sorry, I just thought this thread died and I'm checking in, Fox News. My story was on Fox News. Linky link. It's all over a couple news sites. That's how I heard it too. Haha, yeah, I was surprised to see it too. Emo, I think everyone thinks it's for the best that you stick to what you originally were planning. I wrote as quickly as I could when I saw this thread, so I sounded hurried, haha. I mean, if it's on Fox News and other outlets, I think Republicans and Democrats have for once agreed on something, Lamau, for you to ditch this sob. AITA, I back out of being maid of honor at my best friend's wedding next weekend. Best man is my ex-fiancé, who cheated on me, and I can't be around him, let alone walk arm in arm with him. Not the a-hole? Jump into the worst week of my life. I was with my ex-fiancé for 6 years. Loved him with every fiber of my being, the wedding planned for August. Refused a job offer so I could move with him for his next Air Force assignment. Monday, a call girl from a website called Massage Republic texts him in the middle of the night saying she's reaching out to old clients because she's back in the game. His phone was at my house while he was flying. I text back she must have the wrong number. She says she doesn't. In a moment of brains, I pretend to be him instead of the jealous girlfriend, and call girl gives me all the details. I'm such a fool, this has been happening under my nose for years. I confront him, he claims to be a sex addict and promises to change. I consider it for half a second and say no. Cue uncontrollable crying, self-doubt, a battery of STD tests, awkward encounters with him, fight over the ring, his mom, who I loved, calling me non-stop and begging me to reconsider, and on and on. And on top of all this, my best friend is marrying his best friend May 11th. Groom doesn't want to rock the boat at this late date and select a new best man. Bride says she has way too much on her plate, and is begging me to just go through with it, and she'll make it up to me. I've never hated a human being as much as I hate him. I can't be in the same room with him, let alone walk arm in arm with him. I understand the whole wedding doesn't need to fall apart because I'm upset. So I just want to not go and spend the day downing the leftover Percocets from my wisdom teeth operation, ducking as many Tinder dudes who can stand to be around me after not showering, and burning all his shit. Would I be the asshole if I backed out of the wedding? Edit, wow, I checked out for a few hours to try and sleep and this exploded. I'm so sorry I haven't been reading, I'll try and catch up. Edit 2, okay guys, I don't know what the verdict is, but whether or not you voted to or NTA and said I should go anyways to support my friend, we were friends before we were born, our moms were college roommates, your argument was the most convincing. I'm going to suck it up, participate, have fun, make my lock screen image the text from Panama where she said, remember, you liked tonguing my asshole. So when I get sad I have an instant reminder of who he really is. And then when it's all over I'm going to scream myself hoarse and beat the ever-living duck out of my pillows. If I can update a week from now I will. I still have a lot of reading to do, so thank you all for commenting. Edit 3, that won't be seen. Guys, I've had the worst week of my life and been crying almost non-stop since 3 AM last Monday, or Tuesday, or whatever. I have to clear up people calling my best friend an asshole. That just isn't the case, at all. I love her as much as I love any person on the planet and she has my back. But this wedding is now a week away. It's not a simple thing of kicking me out or asking my ex-fiancé not to come. Everyone is furious with him, but only she, me and he know the details of calling girls. My ex's parents, grandparents and everyone else are going to be at the wedding. He's as close with the groom as I am with her. If they make big changes now, then the day becomes about what he did, not about the wedding. It's not my place to demand the groom change his best man. A week out no less, plus like I said, he knows my ex cheated, he doesn't know my ex was sleeping with prostitutes. If I bring that up, then this whole week becomes about that. My best friend and her groom being assholes isn't even an option on the table. They didn't do anything wrong and just reacted with the best information they have. My friend has offered me the chance to allow me and ex-fiancé to walk in with other people or even separately, but I'm not going to do that. First of all, because I think it will look weird. And secondly, I foresee getting a sick sense of satisfaction from touching him one last time forever and have him know that that spark he feels could have been forever come August, but he ducked it up. Info: when did this all happen? If it's just happened recently and you can't face it, I don't think you're an ass. If it happened 6 months ago, then yeah. Can the bride not switch you up to walk with another groomsman or walk separately? Edit: didn't word my comment very well. I don't mean that she should be over it in 6 months and just suck it up, just that she would have had 6 months to pull out of the wedding / make other arrangements / give notice to the bride. Literally Monday. NTA? The bride is also NTA, but your ex is such an ass. He should bow out, I mean, come on. At the very least, why can't this asshole just talk it out between the groomsmen and have another person walk her down? I highly doubt anyone gives a f about who's walking who down other than the bride and her father. No one will notice if someone else is walking her down while he later speaks as the best man. That way you're not bothering the groom or bride. Am I just nuts to think that's super easy to do? I mean, I'm in my early 20s, so WHO knows. I just think it's ducked up for her to go through, but I can also sympathize with not bothering the groom and bride, hence a simple walking partner switch. Edit: thank you for the silver. Yeah, honestly it sounds a little bit like her friend is the asshole. Maybe even the groom too. Sorry, but if I find out my best man is cheating on the maid of honor the week before the wedding, it sounds like his ass is staying home. I'd expect the bride to feel the same way. Yes. At the very least, you could change the order so they aren't having to walk in together. The wedding is on Saturday or whatever doesn't cut the mustard. I'm married, had an overseas wedding, husband is from the country we were married in, wasn't just a destination thing, with loads of shit to organize for out-of-towners, and I still would have managed to either cut someone out or shift people around. It's not rocket science, and if this is a person you care about, you do it. This is the real advice. This is spot on. At my own wedding we matched people up to walk down the aisle by height, and even though the best man did walk with the maid of honor, it wouldn't have mattered if they didn't. No one will care. Do you really think he is going to back out? He has asked her to forgive him and doesn't want her to leave. I guarantee he sees this as an opportunity to get back. This guy has no self-awareness as far as how his actions affect other people and only thinks of what he wants. Good luck getting him to back out. WTF NTA. Lol, if it happened 6 months ago then yeah. Like no. She is not the ass in any possible situation. Doesn't matter if it happened yesterday or 5 years ago. He hurt her deeply. Edit, Op went through a lot of emotional trauma and even stated she can't stand being in a room with him. So even though time heals wounds, it doesn't mean she's not allowed to have no desire to be a part of a wedding that could bring back all those negative emotions. Agree with this one. Time can make you feel better and heal your sadness, but that doesn't mean it completely undoes what the person did and makes you forgive them. If someone killed your dog on purpose just because years had passed doesn't mean you need to forgive them ever. Honestly, no matter what the situation was, if you don't want to forgive someone, that's up to you. You're not forced to forgive anyone ever. Op is under no obligation to go through with something if she doesn't want to. I understand this is inconvenient for the wedding and Op's friend, but it's also pretty inconvenient to get cheated on by your 6-year-long SO and fiancé and then be expected to be friendly with them. Your NTA, and I'm very sorry this happened to you. Op frown. Right? Like, I don't understand people saying Op WBTA, and that she should just put up with it for 3 minutes for the sake of her friend. Sounds like a shitty friend for even putting her in that awkward-ass position. It's not even just 3 minutes. It's the rehearsal dinner, the actual ceremony, introduction of the bridal party, and the reception. And photos? My most recent ex lied to me and led me on for months, then broke up with me the day after pressuring me into doing stuff with him. Our friend group was very intertwined and most of my closest friends were also close friends with him. Great at the time, bad after we broke up. My friends were very understanding and never made me feel bad for not wanting him around and never invited him to things I was coming to. They kept us separate and still do. It's been almost a year since we broke up, but what he did hurt me very deeply, and while I've moved on and have a great new girlfriend, I am still very furious with what he did. It ducked with my anxiety and worsened my trust issues, and I hate being around him for more than 5 minutes, much less be forced to go arm in arm down an aisle for a very public wedding that would last at an hour to finish the ceremony. He didn't even cheat on me, so I'm honestly quite shocked Op's friend would even ask, much less beg Op to still go on with the wedding. While the Op is totally NTA, neither is her friend who planned a wedding before the Op found out that her fiancé cheated on her. Hopefully her friend can understand how ridiculously painful this is for her and understand that she's not doing this to duck up her wedding, and let her kind of bow out gracefully without any sort of drama or ridiculousness. I mean, those people are idiots. People asking when this happened makes sense. If it happened 6 months ago, she could have told her friend then rather than waiting a week before the weekend. Since it happened Monday, obviously she isn't the asshole. Update, AITA, if I back out of my best friend's wedding. Best man was my ex-fiancé who I found out was cheating. I can't believe how huge this got. Update. Edit, the 3,000 character limit makes this read way more choppy than I'd hoped. I hope this makes any sense whatsoever. Original? I've logged into this throwaway a couple of times over the past week and honestly to go have 50 DMs and comments asking me to update, so here goes. Some of you may also know that my story got featured on major news websites and blogs. It was crazy. I left way too much identifiable info in my post, so pretty much all my social circle knew it was me, and it was also the way most everyone figured out X had been cheating. We had a meeting among the 4 of us as to whether or not we proceed. We pretty much agreed that not showing up would cause more drama and whispers than if we didn't show up, so we agreed to be civil and stay in our respective places. But having to spend that hour or so in the same room with him just fueled me up with adrenaline and pure rage. That led into a bachelorette party that night where I got freaking hammered and honest to God made out with so many guys while dancing I can't even count. I also ended up having my first one-night stand ever with a 20-year-old super cute guy from our university's wrestling team who was so sweet. I'm not proud of doing that, but I'm also not ashamed either, because it made me feel desirable and almost like I was going into the wedding day and rehearsal with some parity, since he can be naughty too. X and I were of course paired up at rehearsal, and I hate to admit this, we had an absolute blast with each other. It wasn't a mistake that we had such a great and fun relationship, we are very compatible. It probably also worked because we were able to put the issue on the side and focus on something else. Wedding was very much the same way. We walked arm in arm down the aisle with big beaming, and genuine, smiles, since we were there for our friends. I had prepared a really nasty toast that would have praised my friend and her loving relationship, loyalty and truthfulness. I even included a line about "you never know who is going to call in the middle of the night," but as the reception wore on I could tell the weight of the situation was really getting to my ex, and I felt like I really didn't need to twist the knife any further, so I gave a nice but very generic toast. As night went on, the ex was more and more out of it and sitting by himself, either on his phone or with his head in his hand. I didn't want people talking about him, so I asked him to dance with me, which was actually really nice, since we both didn't say anything. At the end of it he put his hands around my face like he was going to kiss me. I would have totally let him, in that moment, and just whispered how sorry he was and walked away. I got distracted and turned around. He had apparently left the reception. I hate myself for it, but I was so sad to see him go. This wedding is literally the last thing we ever have to do with each other. There's no expectation of got Sundays or Bloody Mary brunches with his mom, we won't argue over how bad IPA beer smells or who forgot to put gas in the car. Like the reality of him just being able to leave without me arguing that I'm not ready to go yet, classic introvert/extrovert pairing here, sunk in that this is over. Like over. I went and cried uncontrollably in the kitchen of the hotel until the bride found me and cried for a good half an hour. With that I knew I made the right choice in being there for my friend. So that is that, the wedding is over and done with. No real drama, lots and lots of hurt feelings and a huge broken heart that I'm not sure how it will ever heal. I wish I could just turn off loving him, but it's not going to happen. Edit. Last word on this, guys, and it's really honest to God say thank you. This sub has been such an amazing place, and a particular shout out to /you/Snossagefist, who is a great moderator, and absolutely coaxed me into the right decision. I still have something like 1,200 inbox notifications, and I'm sure that the people who gave me gold and silver are in there somewhere. If I don't get to thank you privately, please know that I do thank you. And thank you so much for the words of encouragement that I will move on. I know I will. Right now it's so fresh and I just keep thinking, God, if you wouldn't have been up that night worrying about work, you never would have seen the text come in and you'd be ignorant to all of this, and happy. But that's not healthy, because wishing to live an uninformed and ignorant life is never what I wanted to be. Anyways, I'm indulging in self-pity and I don't want to do that anymore. This has been a crazy ride and I just want to say thank you. And Fox News, you kinda suck. Thanks for the update, Op. And don't worry, it may seem like you'll never get over him, but the wound is still fresh. Give it some time and keep yourself busy with other things. Sounds like you'll be just fine. It took me a while, maybe a lot longer than normal people, but 2 years later. 5 years and counting here. I haven't broken down about it since the first year or so, but even though they cheated on me, I don't think I'll ever stop being sad it had to end. I dunno that there is a normal or most people for this kind of thing. It gets easier, of course. The wound heals, but I don't think it ever stops being a wound. My first real relationship lasted almost 4 years. We broke up very out of the blue, for me. He dumped me for someone he worked with. 3 years after my breakup I finally got in a new relationship, wasn't even over him then. Married that guy, 9 years together and 3 married less than 3, but it's been 12 years since our breakup and it still hurts, and I even still dream about him occasionally. You never stop hurting, or thinking about them, but someone else will help make those thoughts fewer and farther in between. I've often described this as a death, because you don't just stop loving someone just because they are gone. The healing works much the same way as well. It also took me about 5 years to get over my ex, who was my first love. I don't believe there's a time frame to be able to get over someone you shared a meaningful connection with. It takes however long it takes. When you finally do heal, and finally have a connection with someone else, it feels more clarified and deep. After being single for a total of 6 years, I finally met someone who was a better match, who was more than I deserved. It all worked out for the best. Smile? Agreed. Once I met the right person, I stopped regretting all the other rels that didn't work out. Not that I had many regrets there to begin with, but there were a few notable ones. You can forgive someone and still be sad about what happened. As someone else said, it's a lot like the death of a loved one in that way. At this point I think about them maybe once a month. I don't think they have any particular hold over my life anymore, it's just a sad thing. In my case, I didn't leave immediately, I forgave them and tried to move on, and only left when after a couple of years it became clear that 1, I was the only one who wanted to put effort into the relationship, and 2, I'd never do that again really meant I'd never do that again unless I really wanted to. Given that she ended up being the other woman for someone else's relationship less than 2 months after we split, I think I made the right choice. 17 years after I found out my high school sweetheart cheated on me, it still hurts from time to time. Thankfully all I have to do is think about the wonderful woman I'm with now, and the past is a book closed long ago. I needed to read this. Thank you. I just couldn't get myself to let go for a while. I took up a lot of new things like gym, photography, dancing etc., but nothing worked. I realized it wanted to work because a part of me still believed I was doing it for her so she would see how much better I got and take me back. Sad. This all the way, even though it's been a year for me, it sucks realizing that I still have a small part of my heart for possible reconciliation even though that ship has been long since passed. I'm not going to stop trying out new things and moving on, but like myself, I have to end up doing them for myself as opposed to someone else. 4 years for me. It took me 4 years to trust my judgment on people again. I'm with someone else now and this is our 3rd year together. All of this. I teared up reading this update, and it's so incredibly hard to come to terms that you won't ever share those same moments with a loved one like that. But the fact that the bride was compassionate enough to come to Op when she was needed most for comfort really shows how much Op was appreciated for being there. Things will change and life will seem difficult, but opportunities will never cease to come until you no longer look for them. Yeah, I cried too. I've been there. It hurts like a physical pain. But you move on, make mistakes, make good choices, do other things. But you do move on. I think lots of people forget that losing a relationship, especially a serious/long-term one, is also losing your best friend. It's part of the reason getting out of abusive relationships isn't as easy, emotionally, as just leaving, though that's a topic for a different day. Op definitely sounds like a quality human and will hopefully find someone equally excellent who will be more honest with her when they hit bumpy roads. Their relationship and friendship will be different, but will also have a lot of these beautiful, sweet small moments. Damn, this hit me hard. This is such a true statement. I've been single since last January after finally growing the balls to leave a toxic relationship, and it still sucks not having that partner and best friend to do trivial things with, and squabble over goofy shit. I totally hear you. I also got out of something awful, sexually coercive relationship, nowadays would be called rape, but at the time there was less awareness of that kind of abuse. Luckily I got out at 19, so have had time to heal and find many other beautiful relationships/friendships over the years, but I still to this day find myself struggling to even dislike my abuser. He was toxic AF, even aside from the abuse, but there was also so much good. Rest assured that there are other people out there who will bring you joy and to whom you can bring joy. They may not all be your soulmate, but they will hopefully all help shape you into a great partner and a great person for when you meet the person you do want to be with. Or even just to make you a better friend. Smile. If there's anything I've learned, it's to surround yourself with people who lift you up, not those who drag you down. Sorry to hear you had to go through that. I appreciate the kind words. I think it's ultimately the companionship part that can be difficult to find, and it's the part we miss most. Wow, that was really heartbreaking. You did something I don't think I'd have the stones to go through with. Major props to you. And there's only one thing that ever heals a broken heart: time. Stay strong. I broke up with my ex-fiancé after she got pregnant. We're both cis women, so obviously the baby wasn't mine and she was cheating. She was my first openly queer relationship, so I felt cut off from not just her family but also a lot of the queer events we attended together. That was before I realized there was anything except straight and lesbian. But eventually I replaced all of our crime show binges with superhero movie binges with the man who would become my husband, and kept watching only the crime show that I actually liked for its content rather than how much she could pick it apart. I took my husband to SF Pride wearing pan and bi colors and felt proud to be who I am, queer no matter what my partner's sex is. And the one time my ex and I met again at a coffee shop, I was holding my partner's hand and she was alone with her screaming toddler. NGL, I felt a bit of petty satisfaction at that. Smiley face. I understand intimately a great many points you made. Oof. You deserve that satisfaction. You're a badass. I wouldn't have the strength to do what you did. If you can do that, you can do anything. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.